everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to jump into part one of Manor 2025, a whole new series, a 10-foot village that's going to sit showcase right in the center of our home for this Halloween. We're going to have some new additions to this. We're going to change it up from the previous version. As you remember, likely, the previous version was good. It was one of the first it was the first large village display that I had ever done. And so looking at it, not last year, but the year before that when I set it up, it was outdated. My skills, I think, have improved since then. It was kind of the old way of building, and I just wasn't satisfied with it. When you looked at it from a distance, it looked great. Even when it was all decorated and you looked at it close up, it was okay. But it doesn't hold a candle to what I think I'm going to be able to do this year. And so that's why I wanted to completely redo Manor. Now, you're going to come along on this journey as we start today with part one. Obviously, this is going to be a multi-part series as we kind of look at the initial design and concepts. And then every other part you'll see where we're building and painting and getting everything ready to finalize so we can display this village proudly when we're done. So with that, let's jump in and start looking at where we're going to put it and why we chose that specific area. Okay, so as we start to look at the design of where we want to put this display, this village, I look right here to our dining room hutch. To me, this is the perfect place. It's about 11 feet or just over 11 feet long. Maybe it's closer to 12 feet. It's plenty big enough for a 10-foot display. Obviously, we've put them there before. However, we are a little concerned with the depth, right? So the depth from the very back of the wall to the front of the hutch is exactly 24 inches. And so that's going to present us with a little bit of a problem. The project panels that we get from Lowe's or Home Depot for the EXP foam or the ESP foam is 24 inches exactly. So obviously we're going to have to cut those down because we want to be able to place the power strips behind it. We want to be able to hang up the backdrop. We want to be able to do all those things without you or anybody that comes into our home being able to see them once they're displayed. So therefore, we're going to have to cut the project panels down to, I measured roughly 21 inches. That gives us 3 inches of backspace to put the power adapters and the plugs and run everything down there. And so that's what we're faced with here. So it's going to be 5 project panels in length. That's a 10-foot village. We're not going to cut the length down. They're going to stay at 2 foot apiece, 24 inches. But like I said, we are going to cut the backs off width-wise down to from 24 down to 21 inches. So that's how that's going to look. And so as you come into our home, as you guys are seeing on plenty of the videos for our home tour, you'll see that as we kind of turn the corner here from our main entryway kind of into our home, that as you walk through the door, you turn right here, and then there is that village. And so I think that's going to be a perfect spot for this. But again, we're going to have to build it to the area of which it's going to sit. So again, 21 inches deep by 10 foot in length is what we've got to work with. So having seen that and knowing about that, let's take a look at how we're going to design this. So this is Echo. Echo wanted to say hello. She has gotten so much bigger. Sit. Sit. Oh, that's a good girl. You are so cute. And now obviously Justice, oh, that's Livy. She's coming to check on things. So it's been a while. It's been a while since I've been on here. It's been a while since you guys were able to see the dogs. So I want you to be able to see them. Okay, so with that, let's talk about some of the pieces we're going to use here. I've got several of them set out that I plan on using. We've got one that I've got a special request to do an actual review on. That's Ghastly's Haunted Villa. We'll do that a little bit later as we have everything set up. or starting to get everything set up and it's available, we'll do that one. But for now, let's talk about what we do have available so you can see it. So we've got Grimsley Manor. It's one of my all-time favorite Department 56 old school manor type houses. It's absolutely stunningly beautiful. It's out of the box right now. I actually have two of them. I've got one that doesn't have a box, one that does have a box. Love this piece. This one's got a few little chips and dings on it, so I use this one to kind of prepare everything, get everything measured and everything like that. We're going to use this Halloween Village gate as a centerpiece to the middle of the section. We'll talk about that a little later. A new addition this year that we're going to add to Manor Row that was not there in the previous version is Hazel's Haunted House. This is a Silver Series box set. It is an all resin house. But I love it. I love the way it looks. I love the coordinating accessory that comes with it. And this piece is very reminiscent of an actual, no kidding, old haunted house. It's got the green sort of, the wood it looks like it's been dry rotted forever. This is a very well done piece, and don't let the resin fool you on this one. There's a little bit of bleed through on it, like most of the resin, but I think it looks really incredibly cool. And when I took it out of the box and set it next to the other houses just to check, I'm pretty impressed with the way it looks. I think it's going to be a perfect addition to Manor Row this year. We've got probably my all-time favorite of the manors or the mansion, and this is Mordecai Mansion. I searched high and low for this one, had to have it. Paid way too much for it, as you guys know how much they go for. They've come way down in price now, so I guess patience is the key of getting what you need. But when you're impatient, like I have been, sometimes you splurge and then only to be. I say I'm not sorry about it. I'm glad I've got it. I love it. I'm so thankful it's in my collection. It's one of my favorite pieces of all times. Okay, then we've got Ghastly's Haunted Villa. That's going to be going in this Manor Row. This was in the original Manor Row, so no surprise there. We've got Gravely Estate, which is one of the most well done, in my opinion, most cool, decorative. It's got it all. It's got the haunted vibe. It's got the Victorian feel. It's got the turret on the end with the lights that go around inside. I mean, if you're looking for a nostalgic, no kidding Halloween piece. And you can see here new for 2009. So it's been out for a minute, but this is an all-time favorite of mine as well. I just love these old school Department 56 pieces. We're going to do Grimsley's Garage to accompany Grimsley, the house, and we're going to have that set up. You saw me do the build on Grimsley Manor with the garage and the whole 9 yards. We're going to kind of replicate that into Manor Row, so there will be a driveway in this Manor Row. That's going to be new this year. And then our final piece that we're going to have in Manor Row for houses is the Victorian house. Again, this is one of those old school, nostalgic, just a really cool building. It's got the lights on the inside, plus it's got the the orange and purple lights on the front porch area. This very cool, decorated, very Victorian style, obviously Halloween house. It was in the original Manor Row that we built, and certainly it's got a place in this Manor Row. So those are the pieces that we're going to use in the Manor Row. So what about materials? Well, we've got a couple of them. These are the project boards. I'm moving some stuff around here. These are the project boards. These are, pick these up at Home Depot. These have gone up significantly in price, if you can imagine such a thing. When I first started this back in 2020, and I know this is coming up on 5 years, these project boards were $4.97 or around that price per 2 foot by 2 foot section. And at the time, that's what they were going for. I just picked up 5 for this particular project. They are $9.57 or $9.97. They're $10 essentially a piece for a 2 foot by 2 foot by 1 inch thick piece of styrofoam. That is absolutely crazy when you think about it. But that's where we're at. That's inflation. That's you know, the cost of living clearly has gone up, and that is all part of it. So $50 for the part of the base of this display. So it is what it is. If you want this foam and you don't have anything else to use, and I love this foam because it holds such a good texture. It cuts really well. It's got the side is already, I mean, just it's exactly what we want. Okay. And then I picked this one up, this piece a while back. This is already cut. I've cut a couple of pieces that I need. This is a 2-inch by, this was a 4-by-8 foot sheet. So 4-by-8 foot sheet will fit in my SUV if I do it right. And so that's what we've got. And so I've taken the liberty already of cutting this down. So I've cut it down to, like we talked about, 21 inches in depth. So from the front to the back is 21 inches. And then this is 4 foot long. So 4 foot long will cover 2 of those project boards. It will all be glued together at the end, so you'll never know. And then we'll have a 2-foot section in the middle, which I am going to put the previous Manor row that we had a pumpkin patch. If you remember, it had Patty's pumpkin patch. It had a billboard. It had some other things in there. It was beautiful. It was like the showcase centerpiece of Manor row. However, I'm now using Patty's pumpkin patch in my fall display that's going to be on the opposite hutch in the actual kitchen. And so I don't have 2 of them. I've already used the honey hive, which is basically the same type building, same size building. And so what I've decided to do with this gate over here is put in a cemetery. I'm going to put a cemetery, old school, very desolate, very isolated, very woodsy with some rocky hills. This is all in my mind at this point. But all of that's going to be in the middle on that 2-foot section. So I'm going to devote a lot of attention and a lot of detail to creating a cemetery that would be believable in an old town or an old street like this with a bunch of manors and mansions sitting on it. So you'll have a cemetery that is, again, very old and very detailed with a lot of the woods. I've got several things that I'm going to be using for that. And we'll talk about every piece of that as we go through this build. And then that will bring us then to the other section that's going to look just like this. So the first part of this section is going to have, at least in my mind, and I will set this all out so we see how it looks before we start really carving or cutting anything. Over here, we're going to have, we're going to do, I believe, the Victorian house. Then we're going to do Grimsley Manor with the garage. And then we're going to do the Mordecai Mansion on the end. So that'll take the 3 buildings, actually 4 buildings, counting the garage, on this particular section. Now we fast forward then to the exact same section, only on the other end, on the other side of the graveyard. And then we're going to have, and again, these may change in order, but that leaves 3 houses left. That leaves Gravely Estate, Ghastly's Haunted Villa, and Hazel's Haunted House. I think if I put Mordecai Mansion on this side, and I'm sorry, I'm pointing, you can't see, Mordecai Mansion on this side, and then the graveyard is here, then I think it'd be pretty neat then to put the other really haunted house on the other side of the graveyard, and that would be Hazel's. So I think the, kind of framing in the graveyard, we'll have Mordecai, we'll have the graveyard, and then on the other 4-foot section, we will start that with Hazel's Haunted House, and then probably go Gravely Estate in the middle, and then Ghastly's Haunted Villa on the far end of that. That's at least the preliminary way that I want to design this. So hopefully all of that makes sense. So with that, then let's start setting up some of the houses to see what they're going to look like on here, see if we've got enough room, and then we'll start cutting. Okay, well, you can see I've kind of placed the buildings kind of where they're supposed to go. So again, You can see here you've got the Victorian house on the end. I think that's going to look nice sitting there. Next to that, we go with Grimsley's and the garage. The driveway will be coming right out through, obviously, here down to the street. And then we've got, and again, these are not perfectly set, but, you know, obviously for me, and I'll deal with that later, but that one should probably go back a little bit, maybe a little more to the left, so it's got a little bit more side yard before we get to the graveyard. And then, you know, we're going to have the sidewalk from another piece of XPS foam coming down through here. And I'm going to make it 2 foot, and then another 2 foot down here. And then we've got the curb that we're going to be using. And so here's what I'm going to do. In the interest of time on this video, in the interest of having already done the carving on almost every other video that I've ever done, we're going to forego all that today. I'm just going to cut. I'm going to get everything detailed enough to where it's almost ready for paint. We're going to fit it on there. We're going to come back and take a look at it when it's all done. Now, how do I plan on cutting all this? Well, to already cut the 21 inch by 4 foot section of the 2 inch XPS foam, and I did that using big sheetrock T-square. Measured everything out and then cut it with my hot wire foam factory 6 inch knife, and just kind of trace that line on a fairly high power setting because that's 2 inches thick and it takes a little while to get through. But if you go patient enough and let the tool do the work, it cuts quite easily. And then for the sidewalk, for the curbing, clearly we're going to have to cut down some of the scrap, the pieces that are already cut off of that 21 inch piece. It was originally 24 inches or so, so I've got a couple 3 inches there. We're going to take that and then start cutting it down on the Proxxon. We're going to have the sidewalk 2 inches by a 1/4 inch thick, and we have to do that, or at least I have to do that on the Proxxon. And then we're going to do the curbing at a 1/4 inch by a 1/4 inch. All of these are going to be 2 foot in length, so we can glue them down when they're detailed. And then once we're done with that, we're going to take the hot wire foam tool. I'm going to use a different one, and let me show you real quick which one that I'm going to use. So if we come down here, I'm going to use this tool from, I got this at Hobby Lobby. It's called Walnut Hollow. It is an actual wood carving tool. It's a wood burning tool. It comes with all these little accessory tips. I've got the tip in already I used for this this type of carving before, so I'm going to continue with that one, I believe. It does have a temperature power setting. You can kind of see the little switch right there that you can adjust the heat on this. I'm going to get it hot enough to be able to burn in the brickwork on these on this 2 inch section. Now, I'm going to cut them pretty deep this year in hopes of being able to mix up some gray kitchen grout is what we're going to use. And you've seen that on my cemetery. You've seen that on several of my other builds. You saw it on Trick or Treat Lane and some of the builds there. And then we're going to grout the rock work that we're going to put on here. I'm going to cut out the stairways and I'm going to cut out the driveway, all using the Proxxon. Now, you've seen this before. If you've been with me and saw the Grimsley Manor vignette tutorial series, if you haven't, go back and watch that because it's got step-by-step how I was able to cut out the driveway and how I was able to cut out the stairs. And so I'm going to use those same techniques with the Proxxon on this big 21 inch by a 4 foot piece of XPS foam. And so that's how I plan on doing all this. So let me put the tripod, put the camera down and let me remove the houses and start carving. And then when it's done, I'll place the houses back on and we'll come back and see if it looks any different. Hopefully it looks a lot different. Hopefully it looks a lot better than what it looks like right now. So with that, we'll be right back. Okay, well, hopefully you can see a little bit of a difference of how it's starting to come together. I added a little bit of fence because I bought this fence. Actually, I put this one in upside down, I believe. But I bought this fence off of Amazon. It's really small fencing. I was going to use some of this probably for my Haunted Mansion Disney World display. Or at least I thought I was. And so I bought quite a bit of it. Honestly, it's fairly inexpensive on Amazon. And I wanted to try it here just to kind of see. It's just in the groove right now down the brick line. So easy to remove. It just sits in there. But I think it looks pretty good. Maybe add a few little pillars to the ends. I want this neighborhood to be very... not incredibly scary, but have a very nostalgic, old school. These are the houses that you go trick or treating to that are going to hand you full size candy bars. This is the good one. Now there are some very run down, very dilapidated old houses with some cranky old dudes, especially Mordecai, living in them, and all the accessories will help to accentuate that as we build it. But I want this to look also very I don't even know what word I'm looking for. I just want it to have that curb appeal potentially to go, wow, this once was a very, very cool place. So this fence is black now. I may, paint it a little more rust colored as we go, if I want to keep it there. I may, touch it up with some paint and make it a little different than what it looks today. But I think size-wise, it's pretty appropriate. I kind of like it. The only downside is when I start putting the grass on, it's not a very big fence, so it's going to be low maybe compared to some of that grass. But we will see how that looks as we progress through. If we do, the grass will be one of the last things, or I'm sorry, the fence will be one of the last things that we put on. Okay, so you can see the sidewalk. You've seen me make these before. I simply cut the lines in it with the same wood engraving tool that I showed you. It comes down to every line. So this is 2 foot long. So every line is 2 inches. Just makes sense to keep it nice and symmetrical. Right in the center, you have a break. And then as you kind of look down at the driveway, okay, so I did this driveway on the Proxxon, very low heat, very slow cutting, but I did it the exact same way that I did on the previous video of the Grimsley Manor vignette series. And so you can see how that looks. It's all been textured with a aluminum foil ball, as has the sidewalk. But, one mistake that I made, and I think I corrected, but I'm not 100% sure, I don't remember quite honestly, was the sidewalk. It shouldn't be over top of the driveway, right? You shouldn't have to drive over the sidewalk to get onto the street if we're talking realism. So I just kind of took a marker. You can kind of see the markers, trace areas there. I just traced a sort of a semicircle, half curve there, and then cut that out again on the Proxxon. Didn't use the fence on any of that, just used the, free-handed on the Proxxon to do that. The curb, you can see, has not been detailed yet. I obviously need to do that. The problem is once you start detailing the 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch with an aluminum foil, it starts to curl. And so what I'm going to do is I will detail it for sure, but I'm going to wait a little bit closer till I'm ready to start painting. And this is all done. This is all ready to start painting. And so I don't know if I'm going to do any more carving on the next section, or if I just want to finish this section and then go on to the next. I haven't made up my mind on that one quite yet. I think I might finish this whole entire set, this whole entire scene that you see here, and then go on to the next piece. All right, so the stairs, again, cut out on the Proxxon. It's a whole lot easier to cut stairs that way. They look incredibly good. They have been detailed, as has the little area that was cut out is detailed with the aluminum foil ball. So hopefully you can see all that. That's ready for paint. Those are all, they're not glued together yet, but they obviously are sitting in there. But obviously at some point we'll glue all those stairs together and then glue them in place. More than likely after all that's painted, we'll probably paint the stairs individually and then glue them together. And so that is how it's shaping up to take place. Now I envision a lot of the fall trees sitting here, the grass, covering the entire top of this display. And one thing that I am contemplating, which I'll probably do, this is going to be a fairly large undertaking though, but I want this to be very detailed. And so I'm going to add, if the fence stays, like I said, I may add some posts to kind of help tie in the fence a little better. I'm going to put a lot of detail in the walkways and maybe some flower pots with some dying flowers around and just make the details pop. But I think in the back, we'll have the backdrop coming down behind it like we do every year. The looks like the woods and trees. But I think what I was missing off the old Manor Row and what I think I'm going to do here is I'm going to build an old style privacy fence, sort of like you saw me build on the Creepy Circus. It's going to be a wood plank fence that's going to be painted. I've got all the popsicle sticks and all the, not the dowel rods, they're the little square pieces of almost balsa wood, a little thicker than that. You can pick those up at Hobby Lobby. And then cut those down to size, and potentially, again, that's going to be a lot of work. When you think about it, that's an 8-foot section of fence that I've got to build in a miniature scale. It doesn't change the fact that it's still 8 foot of fence with popsicle sticks. So that'll be a large undertaking, but I think I want to do that for the detail on this particular build. And that'll be sitting clearly in the back of those houses to help kind of tie in the significance of this particular Manor Row. So that's still to be thought about and how we're going to do it. But I think it's looking pretty good. I'm pretty pleased with the way all of this has turned out. You can see that the side here is just as detailed. I don't know if you can see the thickness. Hopefully you can kind of see the thickness, when I say the deepness of the cuts into that foam. And that is on purpose, like I said, because we're going to grout those. After it's painted, we're going to grout them. And then and I've done that before. You've seen that. I don't know that I'll do that live here on this build, but who knows? We'll see. But that's how the first 4-foot section is starting to turn out. Not bad. The carving is the hardest part of this brickwork. I just did it freehand. I didn't draw any lines. I just tried to go slow and steady. I think it turned out okay. I'm always wanting to go smaller with the brickwork because I'm big on size comparison, right? And so the brickwork is pretty big compared to the actual size of the house. Those would be huge in real world. Those would be huge boulders sitting in that rock wall. And so I'm always sort of displeased with that. Could I make them smaller? Yes. Would it be a lot more work? I think it would be. And then once you start doing the deep lines, I think it would just all start to run together and it may not look as nice and detailed. That's just my problem to get over. I don't think anybody else will notice it. Now you guys will notice it since I told you about it. That's all you'll see. But as we start looking at a much, a little bit lower, almost house level, this is starting to look pretty good and pretty detailed already. I can't wait to see it done. This is going to be a great build this year, and I'm really glad that I started with this one. Okay, well, hopefully that gives you a much more detailed look at the way Manor Row is starting to shape up for this season. I'm very excited about it. So far, I'm pleased with the way things have turned out. I know I said the engraving is the longest part, but it's also, quite honestly, pretty therapeutic just to put on some music and just kind of unwind and relax and just let your creative juices flow as you're trying to create this. I always know in my mind of what I want things to look like. And so I just start trying to replicate that with the tools that I use. And so far, it's turning out fairly good. I'm very pleased with it so far. So what do we got to do next? Well, what you won't see, what I will do off camera, and so the next time we meet for part 2 of this tutorial series, you will see all of this painted, either completely painted, more than likely completely painted, or at least painted black. So the steps for that for me is I've got a water-based, again, very critical. You've heard me say this before. If you're going to paint foam with a spray can, it must be a water-based spray paint, or you will slowly but surely watch your hard work be flushed down the drain as the aerosol starts eating into that foam and destroying it. Water-based spray paint is a must. So I've got the black water-based spray paint that I will cover this entire project with. I will then do 3 shades for the painting, more of a dry brush technique with the dark gray, a light gray, and then a white for some details. The white is obviously the most dry brush technique, very little paint, little bit of highlights to kind of add a little pop to it. And that's on the brickwork and the sidewalk. The roadway is going to go down with the anti-skid tape. You've seen that. And so when I cut this, one thing I didn't mention is when I measured the 21 inches, I had to take into account a 1/4 inch for the curb, 4 inches for the roadway. That's how much that tape measures. 2 inches for the sidewalk. So if you start counting that, 6 1/4 inches minus the 21. So we're about 15.5 or so on the platform to hold those houses. I should have mentioned that when I was showing you that platform, how we cut it, but I did not. I kept saying it was 21 inches. It is not. The platform that holds the houses is about 15.5 inches in width, in depth. And so that's to allow room for the sidewalk, the curb, and then 4 inches for the road. Hopefully that makes sense. It certainly makes sense to me. It's pretty simple to do now that I've done it a time or two. But hopefully, if you have any questions on that, leave the questions in the comments and I'll try to answer every one since I kind of rushed through that. So that's how that's coming together. So the next time you see it, it likely will be painted all the way, and then we'll be ready for some of the detail work, some of the grass and things like that. So we're moving and I'm motivated. So I'll probably get this out. It's a nice day out here today. So I'll probably start doing the spray painting. I got to check and make sure I got enough spray paint. If I don't, I've got to order some more off of Amazon. That's where I get my black spray paint. Water-based spray paint is off of Amazon. So with that, if you have questions, you have comments, you want to let me know something you would have done differently or something maybe I ought to try with the next 4-foot section, since this one's already carved and ready for paint, let me know in the comments. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you would do differently or what you suggest that I do going down the road, so to speak, as we continue this building series. Likewise, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so, or at least consider doing so. It helps me out personally. It helps the channel to grow. And if you got folks that you know that would benefit from these tutorials, that would like to learn how to do this as much as we enjoy doing it, share the video with them. Let them experience some of the joy and satisfaction of letting your creative juices flow and build some Halloween displays that you can put in your house and be very proud of. So with that, we're going to stop it here for this one, and we'll talk to you guys again real soon. Take care of yourselves.